In this lecture, I'm going to show you how to use enums in your database first model. So back to our model, let's take a look at the level property of the course entity. So level, you can press F4 to view the properties. Look at the type of this property. It used to be a byte, but in the lecture about dealing with database changes, I changed that to a string. But if you look at the actual data in the database, the values stored in that column are 1, 2, 3, which corresponds to beginner, intermediate, and advanced. Now I'm going to use an enum here, because I don't like to work with magic numbers or strings like 1, 2, 3 in my code. So let's see how we can create an enum here. There are two ways. We can create an enum in our entity data model, or if you already have an enum somewhere else in the code, maybe as part of our code base or a library that we are using, we can bring that into our model. I'm going to show you both ways in this lecture. So let's start by creating a new enum in our model. First, we need to go to our model browser. So under our conceptual model, we've got enum types. So right click here, add new enum type. Let's give it a name like course level. Here we can specify the underlying type of the enum, which is typically integer or byte. I'm going to change it to byte. And here we can add the members. So beginner, which is 1, intermediate, and advanced. Now this checkbox here, set flags attribute, lets you create bitwise enums, which means you can combine the members of enum using the bitwise OR operator. In this particular example, a course can only be in one level, beginner, intermediate, or advanced. It cannot be mixed. So we don't need to check this checkbox. Now the other checkbox, reference external type, I'm going to explore it later in this lecture. So let's go ahead and finish this. So now we have an enum type called course level. Now we need to change the type of level property of the course entity to course level enum. So let's select this and open up properties. Here under type, you can find a new enum. Okay. Now let's save the model. Okay, domain classes are regenerated, but if you build the application now, we're going to get an error. So here's the error. Member mapping specified is not valid. And the reason for that is in the database, this level column is a varchar, but in our entity data model, it's an enum. So Entity Framework cannot map a varchar to an enum. To fix this, we need to go back to our database and change the type of this column to a byte. Okay, here in the table designer, I'm going to change the type of level to a tiny int. Now we need to refresh our model. So right click here, update model from database, finish. So at this point, the type of level in our storage model is changed. It's not a string anymore, it's a byte and can be mapped to our course level enum. Let's validate the model. Okay, no validation errors, beautiful. Now with this enum type, we can write cleaner code. Let me show you an example. So let's go to the program. I can create a course object here. And set its level to one of the members of the course level enumeration. This is much better than using a value like 1 or 2. So this is the benefit of using enums. Okay, at the beginning of this lecture, I told you that there are two ways to add an enum to your entity data model. You can create a new enum and add it to the model, which is what we just did, or you can bring in an existing enum. You might already have this enum somewhere else in your code, or it could be part of .NET Framework or another library. So let's see how we can do that. First, I'm going to create a new enum and call it level instead of course level. Okay, here's our enum definition. Pretty basic. So it's a byte and has 3 members as before. Now let's go back to our entity data model. We go to model browser. And under enum types, we need to create a new enum. Now here's the tricky part. The name of this enum should be exactly the same as the other external enum that we're going to use. So it should be level. And it should be a byte. Now here we're not going to specify any members for this enum because they're defined somewhere else. So we need to reference this external enum. So we tick this checkbox here. And here we need to specify the strongly typed name for this enum. In my case, because I'm working in a project called dbFirst, that's the namespace. And the name of enum is level. Now we need to change the data type of the level property. And set it to level. Exactly like before. So the bottom line is, whether you have an external enum or you want to create a new enum, you need to go to the model browser and define it under enum types. Then you can change the data type of a property and set it to an enum. When Entity Framework writes queries or commands against your database, it will automatically cast your enum type to the corresponding type in your database. I hope you enjoyed this lecture and thank you for watching.